Most Christian men are broke, and it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not smart. It's actually because they've been told a lie, and they've believed this lie, and this lie has led them to where they are today. A lie that actually sounds biblical, but when you really look at it, it's actually not. And it's actually the main thing that keeps most guys stuck, especially Christians that I talk to. It keeps them stuck from wanting to advance to the next level. And if you don't fix this, you're going to stay broke, and I'm going to explain why. So first things first, a lot of Christian men confuse humility with poverty. They think that just because you shouldn't be the guy that makes all this money and buys all these nice cars and is just extremely selfish and self-oriented, they think just because you shouldn't be that, it means that you have to go way to the other end of the spectrum, that you have to be broke, you have to barely scrape by for the rest of your life. And there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground that actually works where you can make 10, 15, 20K per month, still live in abundance, still be able to actually make enough money to provide for a family in the United States, while also not obsessing over money and making money your God. And a lot of people don't think that this is possible, but I promise it is. And in fact, it's not even actually that hard. See, most guys think that wanting to make money or wanting more money is greedy. And a common thing that people say is they talk about 1 Timothy 6:10. But the reality is, if you really look at that verse, love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. And you can't provide, you can't lead, you can't protect a future family if you're broke. And this is just the reality of the world. It's like God calls you to be a leader, God calls you to be a provider for a family, and you can't do this unless you have money. And so the lesson that you need to understand is not to obsess over money and not to make God or money your God, but rather understand that money is important and money is a thing that you absolutely need to have if you want to fulfill your God-given role. You just can't obsess over it and be like these dickheads that like make all this money and just like flex their lifestyle all day 24/7. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that the system is built to keep you down, especially if you're a Christian man. Schools teach obedience, not freedom. And if you look at just like a regular job, they cap your time and your income. So like the system is literally designed to keep you stuck and keep you down. The culture says, don't chase money, just be grateful for what you have. But if you actually look at what the Bible is saying, like Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Are you able to do that in your current position right now? Probably not. So it's like the system is designed to keep you stuck and to keep you in this cycle of never being able to create an inheritance for your children's children. So there's this line. There's this line where you have to make money and you have to be able to set yourself up and set future generations up, while you have to also understand the realities of the system that you're in, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job or you're in college. And you need to realize that you have to go down a different path. Christian men are not designed to go down the traditional system and the traditional path in 2025. And I will say that again, I will repeat that if you need. You are not designed to go down the traditional path of going to college, getting $50,000 to $100,000 in debt, then going and slaving away at some desk job where you're making just enough money to barely survive, and your wife also has to work, which you don't want to have to do, and then barely being able to save up enough money to where you can like actually retire and have money, but definitely not having enough of an inheritance for future generations to be safe. And so with that being said, like, here's the alternative, and here's what you need to understand. You need to acquire high income skill sets. This is the only way you're going to be able to escape out of the system, is when you have enough skills to where you don't even have to obsess over money. Money just comes to you because you're highly skilled. And additionally, when you have skills, you can become the person that gets paid by the hour to becoming the person that gets paid per project. So for example, if you're working at Walmart and you're making, let's just say $15 an hour, it doesn't matter how good you are and how hard you work in comparison to your coworkers. You guys are all getting paid $15 an hour. If you remain staying in systems like that, you will stay broke and you will stay stuck. It's only until you realize that you need to acquire high income skill sets. More specifically, you need to get into this whole online space. And the online space gets a bad rap because there's all these gurus that like flex their life and flex their watches and their cars and stuff like that. I'm not saying you have to be a part of that whole camp. I definitely am not that type of way, as you probably see by my content. But what you actually need to do is you need to acquire high income skill sets. And I help Christian guys get out of this trap by teaching them real high income skill sets, specifically doing sales. And the reason we do sales is because sales is the most impactful high income skill that you can learn out of all the other ones out there. And if you do it with integrity and if you do it with honesty, you can still make a ton of money doing sales. You're not going to get rich overnight, but if you can commit, you can 100% change your life in 90 days. In fact, for me, when I first got started, I committed to myself. I went all in and I hit my first $5,000 month in about 90 days. And that's still definitely not enough to be able to provide for a family and set up your children's with inheritance, but it's enough to get started in the system to where you can advance your income even further beyond that. That's kind of the idea. So if you're tired of staying stuck and you want to build income online and you want to build impact and you want to do it the right way without sacrificing your morals while still doing what's right and what's truthful, then book a call with me in the link in the description. Let's map out our next 90 days together. Or if you have any questions prior, you can just DM me high ticket on Instagram using the link in the description if you're not ready to book a call just yet. But other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys got some insights, and you guys take care and have a great rest of your day. Peace.